feels like it can race you for a win condition, right? But it's kind of this weird board struggle on both sides where, you know, we talked about it before, like Crimson Sigil Runner is such a key card because it ends up being a mortal coil target on the other side. But the big factor, and this is something we did also talk about earlier, is just your inability to miss as Warlock. On the turn, you pop off. If you come at the king, you better not miss. If you get 90% of the way through a Stealer of Souls turn and end up without killing your opponent on 8 to 12 health, you will die. Demon Hunter will end you. Whereas against a lot of the other classes in the game, you have that security blanket of like, well, I've cleared their board, I've taken board control, they have to deal with my board now, so I kind of have this safe turn anyway. Absolutely not. Demon Hunter is just going to kill you over the top.
And already diving into the game, it's going to be interesting, and we can see here that if RDU ends up playing this Sigil Runner, or when he chooses to play it, I guess, is more relevant. But for me, one thing that stood out as a bit of a surprise was when I first started looking at this Warlock list and looking at stats and cards, win rates and such, is how high Hand of Gul'dan was in the mulligan, right, as a high win rate card. And then you just realize that just having guaranteed or semi-guaranteed, like, powerful card draw is the name of the game with this list, honestly. Yes, there's the demons, the Soul Stealer, of course, is the huge one, but without card draw, it is not that powerful. So yeah, just having that Hand of Gul'dan, obviously in his opening hand, Gaby now has the second one available to him, means he has the card draw section of this game plan pretty covered already.
Yeah, and he also has Dark Portal in hand, which I was talking about before. This is Gaby's twist on that final 30th card. Some people play Soul Rend. We saw Yala playing the one of Minari Mosha. Gaby has the Dark Portal. This is the curve that you can play. It's kind of a security blanket for you. You can go tap into Dark Portal when you hit your discount, right? And there were two fantastic outcomes there. You get a 0-mana Stealer of Souls, great. You're just waiting for some kind of win condition from that point. If you got a 0-mana Nightshade Matron, fantastic. He has double Hand of Gul'dan in his hand as well, right? So you see that, again, we've kind of seen the pluses and minuses for each version of the deck, each one card different version of the deck. And you see there, as soon as Gaby came into the fray, you saw Dark Portal's time to shine.
Yeah, RDU is making strides, though, with this quest and just piecing together parts of this combo. A 1-mana Moag, 2 0-mana Philosophies. Now he can look at what the possibilities are with this Fel Scream in hand. He can actually throw away a Fel Scream if he ever feels the need to do so, or potentially have options of double Fel Scream, like weird kill turns that, again, due to Warlock damaging itself quite heavily, you can get away with sometimes.
That is a whiff on Quest Stage 2, though. Lands one card short, so is not going to get any further discounts. Gaby is on a top deck and a dream every single time. That is not it. Looks like that was a touch. It was a touch. He's just going to go, though. He's going to go nice and early with the coil and the tap available to him. He's just going to live the dream. See what he comes up with. It's not ideal. See, ramping himself potentially back up here with the Dark Glare. Be able to play more stuff. And that's about as bad as it gets. Double weapon off the 2 draws. That's pretty miserable. Yeah, Gaby counting the outs of what was going to draw additional cards there, but he suddenly leaves himself in slightly worse shape than he would have hoped based off those couple of draws that he had available.
Really interesting point there as well is he chose to tap first, which might feel weird if you're equipping the weapon, because then you're one charge down on what it could be, but his tap very cleanly activated the quest.
Correct.
And then suddenly, when you use the weapon for 3, the next level of the quest is 7, so then 3, and then you get a 2 and 2, worst case from 2 taps. Again, that is another very clean way to complete the quest. So just interesting, a small thing there, because I think it would have been very easy for a player to just go, oh, well, weapon, of course, because I want more procs on my weapon, tap, and then go.
Oh, that was 4 mana again. That's the other Stealer now. Okay, that lines him up for following turns.
And one thing Gaby can do is once he has procced this first part of the weapon, the first durability use, he can easily overwrite it, right? It's not like you need 4 durability of the weapon, so he can use the blood-costed Mithril Rod instead, just to keep going with the health if he so requires and not really lose out too much. In the meantime, though, RDU will really want something nice from this studies, or from the tradable minion he's going to draw from this weapon, and then he can actually cycle it back again, because all of these combo pieces are looking great, but with a severe lack of card draw, he needs to dig down to this Il'gynoth pretty quick.
Gaby floated 4 mana on the previous turn, and I was just wondering whether he was ever considering tempoing his second Stealer. He just saw one I-Beam, one Moarg get used. Obviously, he saw the philosophy, so he knows there's more Moargs. But honestly, at that point, if their answer to your second Stealer is that they have to play their Moargs and like a Fell Screen Blast from their hand, that might even be a win for you at that point. But I think I'm getting a little bit too deep into my own head at this point.
I'm a little bit surprised RDU went for this, honestly. He could have used the Blade to actually just kill off the 2/3. I mean, he can still do it, but he had the Outcast effect then. Here he gets to draw more cards, activate the quest, I guess. It just means he just has to spend the extra mana, but I guess if he didn't care about spending the extra mana anyway, it's not the end of the world. Oh, he's going to leave it up.
Leaves up the Dark Lair to destroy the weapon. I mean, I honestly think those priorities might be a little bit twisted.
I agree. I don't think you genuinely care that much about the weapon, because surely the weapon reduction isn't as good as having the 2/3 on board in terms of mana ramp.
He's so upset. Oh, he's not having a good time. His card draws all in the bottom. This does allow him to get through to Tamsin at least, but this could have very, very, very easily been lethal this turn. Like, just look at it. 5 mana, Tamsin is coming down here, and then any card draw would have been playable, right? Like, make that soul shear, any card draw in the deck, and the game is probably over.
Even a Matron as well, right? Because of the Hand of Gul'dan's.
Exactly.
This does put pressure on RDU, though, to clear this board, or at least
does
heavily prioritize the Stealer of Souls. That's an I-Beam, though.
Going to be a difficult kill from this point for Gaby, though, because if the second Stealer goes down, that means that he is going to be dealing damage quite slowly, and there's still 13 cards left remaining in his deck before he gets to Fatigue to be able to be dealing damage.
What is he going for here?
Might be a Fell Scream instead, trying to deal with the 2/6, trying to deal with all the threatening minions on the left-hand side at once, maybe?
I'm just wondering if he can... I guess this makes it a little bit more awkward. Okay. I was wondering whether he could go for the Cycle in the Peddler first, just to see what the next option was going to be, and then decide what to do. But obviously that would mean that the I-Beam is then no longer Outcast, no longer 1 mana, so... Yeah, a little bit tricky.
Pleasure doing business.
But I've got a question, Sol.
Yeah.
Stealer of Souls number 2 is gone.
It is.
How does Gaby win the game?
With difficulty. He has 10 damage showing right now. But outside of that, he's not going to be drawing a significant amount more damage from the rest of his deck. Honestly, he might have to be more focused on healing himself to ask the questions from RDU to have to do as much damage as possible with his Il'gynoth combo.
Yeah,
I think Gaby's just going to find himself a little bit short here in terms of damage output.
Yeah, small bonus, he still has double backfire in the list.
Yes.
In the deck, sorry. So that's at least some self-damage to then pass over to RDU and a lot of card draw to maybe go for Fatigue, but I just think it's going to be too slow.
So if the Cycle picks up Il'gynoth directly here, that's Il'gynoth for 4, Talented for 2, 6. Second Talented is still 6, Moarg is 7, Fell Scream is 8. So that's actually 1 off, having spent the 1 mana for the Cycle already. That makes it a much more difficult turn than RDU would be hoping for.
I grow impatient.
And that leaves him in the sad position, I think, of just having to play the Kurtrus and hope he can get the discounted Il'gynoth instead. And clear up with as best he can with one of the Fell Screams here, I imagine.
Yeah. I think he's pretty confident that he's not dead this turn. So...
There's 12 cards left remaining in the deck, and there's 4 cards left remaining in the deck that draw 3 cards. Are you that confident that you're alive?
Yeah. You're alright.
Okay.
What's that, 9? Has he missed again?
He's missed again. He really does not want to pay 5 mana for Hand of Gul'dan. He's very upset about it.
Good thing for Gaby is, though, you know, if we're going to just pick at something here, he can kill off these minions without trading in Tamsin, so he's still piling on pressure with his 7-4 right now.
Yeah, he can also get a minion down to 1 HP and then blast it, which is obviously optimal in this position as well. Drop the Soul Shear, drop the second blast, deal maximum damage, and then just hope not to be dead.
Yeah, he can actually just... well, I guess he probably doesn't want to demonic a soul. I guess it doesn't really matter, right? A Soul Share can't go face. Yeah.
Right, exactly.
Yeah. I was trying to work out if the additional minions make a difference. It's small at best.
Tradables still remaining in the deck. Double Jump does not draw Il'gynoth, but it does thin the deck because there's still Sigil Runner remaining. Il'gynoth getting closer and closer and closer. Does that continue to draw? It does not. So Acrobatics now has a 50-50 of hitting Il'gynoth. There is the Il'gynoth. Now throwing out the Immolation Aura, and I think he will then play the Il'gynoth because there is 1 Moarg remaining still in the deck that he needs to get this done.
His 3 earlier were from the natural. There you go. The natural one and the philosophies, so that should be enough as far as I can see, Sol. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Now, that is the classic crisp 36 to the opponent. RDU picking up game number 1. Shades going on. Easy clap. Gaby, look at that left-hand side of the hand. 2 Hands of Gul'dan just waiting for a partner for the entire game, but the Nightshade Matron would not show up. Gaby refused, outright refused to pay mana for Hand of Gul'dan. He's better than that. He's never paid for a Hand of Gul'dan in his life. But in the end, those Nightshade Matrons are just too far buried. And I think it makes sense as well, because I was talking about it, right? There was 12 cards left remaining in deck, and there was 4 cards, 2 backfires, 2 hands, that each draw 3 cards that could then push to fatigue. If you're paying 6 mana for those hands, that's way too much mana, right? Because remember, they're real cards that cost real mana because the stealers are dead at that point. So I think having to, you know, maybe draw a Nightshade, have it discounted so the Nightshade costs 3, right? That's suddenly a lot more appealing to be able to be cycling all the way through your deck with the Nightshades and the backfires. So, a little unfortunate. I think you saw Gaby on multiple occasions, like counting the outs that he had in his deck at various points and not hitting them. But from RDU's perspective, I think it was a very solidly played game of Demon Hunter. He had his Il'gynoth very well buried, but nothing he could really do about that. I think outside of that, he navigated everything pretty well.
Yeah, and obviously clearly happy at getting the win over Gaby there, going 1-0 up, getting the sunglasses out. As you can see, here we go, easy as that. And this is super fun for me, right? Like, of all the people, or the pairs of people to like try and just throw shade at each other, it's kind of hilarious and perfect that it's RDU and Gaby, because both of them kind of know how to play the game, so to speak. So it's definitely a lot of fun. I'm excited to see how the series continues, especially, Subtle, when we're going to get another taste of Shadow Priest here from RDU. We saw it take a win yesterday, showing off the power of Void Touched Attendant, as well as I think Traveling Merchant got involved yesterday as well. And it's going to be going up against Gaby's Warlock once again. And have you run into this deck a lot whilst you've been playing the Warlock on ladder? And how do you feel about this? Because it can put out a ton of damage.
What's the diplomatic way of putting this? I ran into it a lot more earlier on before I significantly improved my legend rank. Does that make the point clear?
It sounds like excuses for losing to me.
I'm saying, like, as I've got to higher ranks, I've seen a lot less of them. That's basically what I'm saying. It does feel like quite a scary matchup, though. It's very Face Hunter adjacent, right, in the way that the matchup works. Is that they will deal a lot of damage to you early. You can win board super easily if you draw Stealer of Souls. You can have these massive swing turns, but if then they have Void Touch Attendant, Void Shard, Hero Power, or something like that from hand, you can just take an enormous amount of damage in the process, having already dealt a bunch of damage to yourself to win the board with Stealer of Souls. So the other way to go about it is just to piecemeal take the boards apart in the early game. You just Shadow Blast one thing, you Soul Shear another thing, you touch a third thing, you Drain Soul a fourth thing, and they just never really get any momentum going, right, to build a board. I think that can be a very effective way to win the matchup as well.
And already, interesting play here from RDU, and one I was going to ask you about, because of the nature of how Warlock removal works, in that a lot of it is single target and deals 3+ damage. Do you like this early Void Attendant from RDU? Because on one hand, it goes against the quest, but on the other hand, like, is it worth holding on to in this matchup?
I love jamming it on one. I've been the most scared of it when it's been jammed on one against me, and as I mentioned yesterday, I actually played this deck a fair bit against Gia on Thursday night, and was more and more just finding myself jamming it on one. So yeah, I'm in favour.
Yeah, really nice follow-up as well. RDU's got all the card draw in the world here with those 2 Pantheras. He did get the 2/3 as well, which has a nice effect that it's just if they took damage at all from whatever source, it will draw a shadow spell. So it's a nice bonus there, whereas it's not like you have to use your hero power or you have to do or cast a spell. It's just any form of damage will do the trick.
Right,
that cycle going for RDU.
Even if it's just you had a minion and attacked with it. That's good enough.
Pendant number 1 goes down now, and now RDU's facing down the 2 Void Walkers.
Looks like RDU is lining up Hero Power Panthera this turn. The Twilight Deceptor number 2 coming into hand, this one being blocked from being able to draw a card. You could have gone shoot face into Twilight Deceptor, but that does seem significantly weaker than what RDU did. But all of a sudden, you can start to see RDU losing his grip on the board. What was the second minion here? Okay, that will do very nicely for Gaby, I would suggest.
RDU still has options though, right? He is ahead on board easily right now. That is a strong turn from Gaby with the free admissions, but RDU is not slowing down and he's going wider. And again, in this list, I'll triple check before I sound silly. Yeah, there is no Soul Rend in the list. There are the School Spirits in there as some form of AoE. But outside of that, as I mentioned earlier, a lot of the Warlock removal used at the moment is single target. And hey, if you have a ton of other minions, then it looks pretty good to me to only have to worry about mostly single target removal.
Yeah, Gaby is about to play a 5/5 rush and draw 3 cards for 2 mana though. That can get an awful lot of work done this turn. Take care of the Void Touched Attendant again. That's the second one gone down, as you have now seen. Does pick up School Spirits, but of course because of the Neophyte it is just ever so slightly too expensive this turn. I imagine we will be seeing either Soul Shear or Drain Soul, which to me is also generally a very interesting decision of whether you want to, stack up the delayed healing while you think you can afford it, or whether you need to panic and heal right now, right? Like, I think that's actually a situation that has pros and cons. Gaby going for the former in this instance.
Also, at this point, I don't have exact numbers, of course, but never mind. I was going to say, if RDU got a Raise Dead and hit another Void Attendant, that would be huge with this board. Or he could just draw the second one. It's a reasonable option here. Has the Toll Guide to be able to use a 0 mana hero power. Effectively 1 mana having to pay for the minion, of course. But this damage Sottle is scary indeed.
Lethal, isn't it?
Wait, is it? I was just talking. I thought you were counting, so I'm going to trust
I was. So there's 8 on board. That's +4, so that's 12. Void Shard will deal 5, so that's 17. There's 20 with the hero power as well. Is it 1 off on a second count? Oh! I think it is, yeah. Raised Dead now gets him the second
attendant.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, it's disgusting.
Quickly.
Surely
8 + 8 is 16, and the hero power deals 4. So that is also 1 off, I think, by my count.
Yeah. Most importantly, though, he gets to retain the Void Shard, and these do stack, so he can, this is as good as you're going to get, right? Pushing so much damage, you cash this in, and suddenly Gaby, 1 health and a dream.
Also School Spirits, okay, less than ideal. Needs to gain a
Needs to heal.
significant amount of health here. He knows he needs to heal. We can see the Void Shard as well, which means he needs to heal more than is probably reasonable in this position. I think he's going to tap here. Can do it. If you tap and draw a shard, you live in. He did not.
Wow. Just like I thought RDU was reaching for an additional pair of sunglasses then at that point, but it was just a drink to freshen him up. And a rapid win there from RDU. And this Priest, again, although it might not be the best ladder deck in the world because of just the variety of decks you're going to run into, maybe it will find a place in tournament play, you know, with the addition of the ban, building lineup and such. But the double attendance, like, look at the damage that was pushed. It is ridiculous.
Yeah, for the low price of playing 3 Void Touched attendants by the time you're 13 cards into your deck, you too can win games of Hearthstone. Yeah, very, very impressive performance from the Shadow Priest. But yeah, just to cover the ending, that wasn't like tap to concede from Gaby. You can tap, draw a Soul Fragment and continue to be alive, which would then have ramped him with the Dark Glare and allowed him to start playing like the Drain Soul or whatever else from hand that he was considering was his out to stay alive in that position. But having whiffed on the Soul Fragments, he just ends up dying in that position. So now RDU has the opportunity to put the ultimate rubber stamp on this series, Raven, by beating Gaby at his own game. And it is very much his own game because this is the Gaby version of the deck, the Dead Draw version of the deck, the Molino version of the deck, the original with the one-off Dark Portal in there, trying to scam that extra discount as hard as you possibly can.
Yeah, and it's going to be that true mirror match here. And just looking at this, well, okay, well, Gaby's got the free admission, he's got the rod as well in there to help out with some additional reductions. In the meantime, though, RDU does have Hand of Gul'dan, and again, I mentioned this might look like a bad opening card, but it really is not. He does just need to get some additional card draw himself, though.
That's right. Interested to see where this hand goes for Gaby. It is a coin hand, he says. Coining out the rod here probably means he's going to line up straight into free admission on the following turn. He can then further discount all of those free admission cards on the following turn as he draws the 4th card. So he gets an extremely cheap pair of minions here. See what he hits. Does hit Stealer. That's the dream. Stealer Dark Glare is fantastic.
Yeah, that's Dark Glare and... Oh! We've got a game. So now, is it fair to say you'd put actually RDU ahead because he has the Hand of Gul'dan in hand?
No, because Gaby just drew Backfire this turn, I think.
Oh, my feed is frozen. Sorry, so I'll carry on.
He did, yeah. Backfire drawn, discounted to 2. Everything got discounted in hand. Stealer went down to 1, Backfire went down to 2. So he's popped off Dark Glare, Stealer, and he is just continuing to dig here. Doesn't hit additional card draw, but he will have the mana coming back from the Dark Glare to be able to pick up additional life taps.
I am back, sorry about that.
Fine. Good.
Yeah, big turn there. And this is one of the closest sort of mirrored games of Warlock I've seen, even when, you know, I've seen looking on ladder on the streams. Like, this is kind of crazy.
Oh, hand! He has Matron Hand in hand, just chooses to actually hard cast the hand. This is the opposite dynamic from the previous game. Might look weird, he's actually paying the full cost for the hand while having a Matron, but that is what you want to do because he's interested in dealing more damage to himself.
Gaby seems to be pretty happy with this turn. And you know what?
Yeah.
I don't blame him.
More coils his own minion, has Backfire now as well. As long as he can ration this out, he should be able to do a lot, but it looks like he is sticking with what he's got. Okay. Of course, no real point in going any further than that because he is he's on 4 mana, right? So even if he got through to
he can't play.
He wouldn't have been able to play it in there in that position. So he just chooses to chill in that spot.
Yeah, unfortunately for all Warlock lovers out there, when you get the quest reward Tamsin, she does not use the blood effect. Unfortunately, you do have to pay good old-fashioned mana for that one.
That's right.
Free admission from RDU going into tap Dark Portal. Wait, isn't he guaranteed Matron?
Yes.
Yeah, he's got 2 and 2, right? Yeah.
Yeah, this is going to be a 0 mana Matron, which will discard the hand, which obviously is huge.
Oh.
Second hand now found for him as well. Unlike RDU, he does have 5 natural mana this turn, so this could potentially be a lethal out. Would have liked to have seen that second Dark Glare to be in play sooner if he was going to go for that. So he ramps himself back up to 5 mana as quickly as possible. It looks like RDU might be calling this one a day at this point as well. That is a lengthy pause that you cannot afford to be taking in situations like this.
And I think with his second Stealer and a Dark Glare costing blood or 0, I guess, then he can still easily get Tamsin available next turn, right? He doesn't have to pay mana for a Dark Glare or a Stealer of Souls to make it work.
Yeah, so Gaby going to do this as optimally as possible, rips the Voidwalkers to the face, rips the School Spirits to complete the Tamsin for 0, gets the Tamsin in play, and then he will be looking for big money off this Backfire to be able to end it. Backfire on its own, remember, dealing 6 damage to his opponent, and Gaby is already jamming. I think from his perspective, he's got this done already. Does he just have it with the Unstables in hand, even without the Backfire? Yes.
It's a lot of damage, isn't it?
He just ripped the Backfire to finish it now. Yeah, he just had lethal in hand. Very, very nice.
Huge game there. And honestly, so crazy that both players did get hold of, you know, the good openings, right? They had solid openings. They both got free admissions. They both kind of popped off at each different times. Gaby taking a turn off, RDU taking a turn off. But what's impressive the most is, honestly, speed of play from kind of both of them. I think RDU was decided, had just made a decision to say that's enough for this turn, I'll do the few spots of removal and stop. Again, whether that decision's correct or not, we can discuss till the end of time. But just the fact that as soon as RDU's turn was over, Gaby was like, I'm going. And then just kicked off the whole turn, jamming away as he's known to do, and just got it done. And it's just very impressive that the speed for, honestly, both of these players, you know, handling this very intricate, difficult to play deck.
Yeah, honestly, pretty good performance from both sides there. RDU definitely had more to do on his turn there at the end. You see, you know, finishing with hand in hand, which is not ideal in that position. I think he got a little bit handicapped by not having played the second Dark Glare potentially, right? But I think that was also, I don't think that's like a mistake where he forgot to play it. I think that was a conscious decision he made to preserve that second pop-off for the second turn, thinking he might be able to live, right? Because he had a Blood Stealer of Souls and a Blood Dark Glare to be able to go off with again. But really, the second Dark Glare doesn't do anything, because Dark Glare doesn't ramp you after you play Tamsin, right? Because you're not actually taking damage anymore at that point. So for me, I would have liked to have seen him go in a little bit harder on that first turn. Obviously easy to say after the fact when you've watched him get shot the following turn.
Yeah, it's one of those ones where if I don't die next turn, I can probably kill my opponent that following turn, right? So just one of those things where, well, Gaby was just that one turn quicker. And guess what? That's kind of how combo decks work, right? Being that one turn quicker is all you really need to do. Diving back into the series, of course, Gaby on the top there on this Demon Hunter now. RDU back with the Warlock. His only deck left he has to take a win with, as we are in Conquest for week 1 of Grandmasters.
And he's sat on Rod free admission. He's got the hand yet again. Not only that, he has Backfire to back it all up as well. So if his free admission hits a Stealer, he already has the Backfire stacked up in hand to pair very nicely with that 2-mana Stealer of Souls.
Gaby not having quite as smooth an opening hand as RDU has right now, and this is looking mighty scary because it's not the sort of hand that, you know, he has 2 tradables, which is going to help him out, but these being able to cycle the cards is powerful, but not free. So it is using up mana of his given turn, right, to get the job done. He does activate the quest and hit not though, so not too shabby at all from Gaby.
I felt the moment in your brain where that sentence was finished and then you decided to add the word Gaby to the end. Yeah. Oh, what's the second minion? Okay, not a Stealer. So RDU is still a Stealer away for a good time, but he still has a second free admission in his hand. There is a small whiff. If the second free admission hits exactly second Nightshade, second Dark Glare, he still has to find a Stealer. But he will then have 2 Nightshades in hand to discard Hand of Gul'dan with, to then go searching for the Stealer later on. So RDU looking in fantastic shape at the bottom.
Did somebody message the players and tell them we were playing Nosdormu mode? Because playing these decks, this speed is, 1, quite difficult to cast, and 2, just incredibly impressive from these players, because Gaby's just locking stuff in, and this is the moment you realize, from both these players honestly, that pattern recognition from just having that many games played and that much experience with each of these decks in the game is so strong, because you don't have to spend time considering options and outcomes. That was instantly like, okay, I draw this, and he'll already have it preloaded in his brain. If it's this, I do this. If it's that, I do that. And there's no sitting thinking, right? It's just instant go, 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 go. And it is incredibly crazy to watch.
Oh, he has Dark Portal as well. I didn't even account for the Dark Portal. This is actually just the nuts, because he gets guaranteed 0 mana Stealer of Souls this way.
And he waits one turn, and then next turn there's going to be fireworks.
Yes. Again, he can wait as long as he dares, but this is the hardest matchup to dare in, because he's against OTK Demon Hunter on the other side, who can just kill you at any point.
And the good thing as well is the reduction from the rod will actually like be perfect, right? Because it won't hit until after. Like, Backfire will come out with the full cost, because it hits before Backfire gets played next turn.
They will never catch me.
Gaby did burn acrobatics at the start of this turn, but is going to start digging through the deck once again, trying to race through the quest in the quickest fashion possible.
Yeah, really, it's not even necessarily quest completion at this point. Like, he's kind of there with discounts already, right? Like, he's just trying to draw cards to find a philosophy or a talented arcanist, right? Something to go with this.
Yeah,
can actually get the job done.
It's just philosophy and then just the mana to finish the turn, right?
Finish that. You finish that. Just burn cards, right? If it comes down to it. No, he's not going to. Okay, just holds on. He does still have coins. Actually, he has Il'gynoth, Arcanist, Moarg, Coin, not in that order, Fellscreen Blast to be able to deal as much damage as possible. But this could be one of those turns,
double
right?
Backfire.
RDU needs to hit here. If he ends this turn on low HP, he's in trouble. And he is very much committed to this turn, it looks like. Touch is going to help. He does whiff and can use that to stabilize. Looks like he's just thrown it out there for the perfect quest completion instead, though.
Because he also has Stealer Rod for perfect second quest right now.
Okay, sure, that makes sense.
Or Stealer Backfire or whatever, right? He's got the numbers to add up very cleanly to go second quest. So this is one of the things that helps a lot, is if you already know exactly how to proc quest, you don't have to think about the numbers. So it just makes your turns faster for you, which is something I definitely fail at when I try this.
Rope is appearing. Worth knowing, of course, RDU will be significantly further ahead than it appears he is. We will see. The Tamsin animation is the big one. That is the one that really, really hurts you. You have to wait for everything before that to resolve. That came out very quickly, though, for RDU. He has 21 damage left to deal. Has he seen these hand cards, though? Gaby just waiting! I've got no read on RDU's face. I have no idea. Huge damage. Mithril Rod coming down. Drain Soul. I think he's out, right? Did he get the Mortal Coil off on a target?
Got Skull Spirits.
Did he get the coil off? No!
Oh, there's the nod from Gaby.
Get shot!
And you know, you said it earlier, right? If you go at Demon Hunter with Warlock, you cannot miss, because it is so easy to get the kill. Like, unless the Demon Hunter is whiffed for the whole game, you are almost certainly going to die there at around 10 to 15-ish health. And Gaby gets the win there. It was a good attempt from RDU, and again, you'll be able to tell us more than I will, Sottle. In a perfect world with an endless turn, was the options there for RDU to actually kill Gaby at that point?
Yes, I think so. I didn't spot any huge inefficiencies in terms of like damage breakpoints through the quest, which is one place you can miss damage. But obviously we saw he ended the turn with a 1 health minion in play and a Mortal Coil in his hand, right? So the world was still his oyster at the point at the end of that turn. He could have kept going. We can only speculate as to where that leads him with additional cards and so on. But yeah, you see the nod in the end for Gaby, and then you see the 18 damage coming out in the end, and that is going to square the series up now.
Also, as well, got to remember with the card draw, there were soul fragments in the deck as well, right?
Yes.
Which could have helped in some worlds. Anyway, though, we are done with that game, and that means we are going to go all the way to a game number 5. Gaby's going to be on this quest mage, and again, going to be on that one thief list, although 0 devolving missiles is the word I was looking for in this version. So just going for the double one thief and stopping there. What do you make of this and the lack of devolving missiles in the list in general?
Yeah, it's interesting to me. I was going to bring this up, but the conversation didn't really lead there. When you were saying earlier you felt like devolving missiles have been gaining popularity on ladder, I hadn't really seen any, but again, I was going to lead to the point that ties into this matchup, which is I never play any minions to get devolving missile in the first place. So they might have it in their deck, I don't know. But to me, that still felt like quite an uncommon inclusion based on what I'd been seeing. Whereas something more like what Gaby is playing is the more standard list overall in my head. Whether or not that's true, we can debate.
Yeah, I mean, I've also just been looking at, the stats, the high win rates at top 1k or whatever, and it was popping up with the one devolving in there. Obviously, sample size is variable depending on when and how you're looking at it. But already into this game, though, Gaby's starting off nice and aggressive with that Ignite. RDU, though, again, has pieced together a pretty good opening hand, right? Dark Portal's there for maybe a little bit later on, but he does have the backfire to really get this hand cooking.
Yeah, very nice. We'll be looking for at least one key minion to get hit with this first discount. Doesn't find it. That is a pretty trash pile of discounts. He does have that Dark Portal security blanket in hand, though. This is why I love this card. It fixes dead games, right, in a way that Soul Rend cannot do, in a way that Minari Mosha cannot do, right? It finds you a win condition. You can argue Soul Rend finds you a win condition by the fact you're alive instead of dead. That's a big deal, and I can get on board with that. But for me, having the Dark Portal to fix situations exactly like this is pretty good.
Yeah, completely agree. It's one of those things when we look at just these 3 versions of the deck right now is, well, yeah, one card's good against these matchups, one card's good against those matchups. Like, yes, that's the game. That's how cards work. So yeah, it just depends on what you're after and what you value a little bit more.
All right, this hand's a disaster. We have to have the talk now, Raven. This is what I've been waiting to talk about basically all day, and you've heard the spiel already. Is generally, I think you can just play absolutely nothing against Mage and win. Right, as long as you build up some kind of win condition in your hand, so let's say you have Stealer of Souls backfire in your hand, right? I think at that point you can continue to play nothing, and by playing nothing I mean nothing ends on the board. Feel free to shoot your opponent in the face or shoot yourself in the face with Voidwalkers, and then Drain Soul, Soul Shear your own stuff, right? Just to clear it off the board. But point being, just don't ever end the turn with a minion in play. Then not only are they not playing frost spells, they're also struggling for fire spells most of the time as well, because you're limiting their options on those. And you can just sit there quite happily tapping and burning cards if you really want to.
Yep.
But the problem is RDU couldn't do that. He had to actually start playing stuff because he didn't have a hand that could afford to burn cards.
Yeah, and you saw that as well, though. You mentioned it. As long as you don't leave a minion on board, and I like the fact that he killed it off in the end.
Yes.
You could choose whether that should have been the bolt he used or the Drain Soul, but to me, it's just hilarious that Gaby's just saying, okay, I guess the term is the Gur option right now, because he's just discovered the additional Fireball. He's got another Fireball in hand. He coined a Fireball out last turn, and he has double Ignite as well. And those start to stack up pretty quickly, and currently, RDU has some level of healing if he wants to go for double Drain Soul, but it's hard to compute that he can be this dead this early in the game with this lack of quest progression from Gaby.
Yes. Still double 0 mana Drain Soul in RDU's hands. We'll have a lot to say about this. He's going to get a free proc from the quest there as well, but still has not played free admission yet this turn, which is a big deal. He's still a little bit staggered behind in his own quest progression. Gaby is just going to continue to burn face, and I love this. I think this is good understanding. You talked about pattern recognition from Gaby. I think this is absolutely pattern recognition. He understands, having played a million games of D6 Warlock, that if you have 5 health at the start of any given Hearthstone turn, it's very difficult for you to achieve anything.
And okay, yeah, that was the flinch, I guess, was the heal. And this is important as well, because naturally, I would have wanted to say, well, actually, what if he just Ignite pings? It puts more, like 2 more Ignites in the deck, and then next turn he's got a high chance of drawing 1 for Fireball, Ignite, whatever, game. But you are right. The games that are hard, I find, as this Warlock, are when your opponents put you so low that you can't pop off because it's just hard to do if you don't proc the quest or have heals because you just can't take that much damage. But also, the Stealer of Soul Blood card interaction, you cannot play a card that would naturally kill you even if you have Tamsin live. So you can get in weird spots that if you don't have the heal and don't have the health total, that you kind of just locked out of doing anything significant in the game anyway. So I do like this play a lot from Gaby, piling on the pressure, and it looks like RDU's just going to say go on 7 health. He's going to hit a Soul Fragment though.
Fragment is huge. That's 2 fragments over the course of the turn already. Picks up Demonic Assault, which is 7 damage in 1 card.
Is this too late though?
Well, I mean, he's not trying to kill. I think he's just trying to set up a Tamsin for the following turn, right? He's trying to get as many blood cards as he can in his hand to potentially give himself the Tamsin on the following turn.
Oh yeah. I wasn't meaning he should have OTK'd or anything. I'm just trying to work out if he could have had a better turn with what he got or what he could have potentially got. It just felt like the decisions were a little bit late, but it was a very hard turn to decide upon.
Yeah, understandable. All right, Frost Spell going down. That is simply quest line 1 for Gaby at this point because he spent the entire game burning face.
But remember as well, these Ignites are a little bit juiced right now, right? He's played a few of them now. Is that a 2? So his other one is on what, 4 or 5, I think?
There's 3 in the deck, yeah, so one of them will be 5, yeah. Wants to dodge the 1 Thieves and does so.
Time runs out on me.
Can't let this live, can he? Can he? Apparently he can.
Yeah, I mean, he's allowed to. He's not going to get disqualified for letting it live. But maybe in your book he should, Sol, but that's why you don't make the rules. Is that another Ignite? Now he's got Ignite Rune Door, but he's going to leave Stealer of Souls up. But once again, RDU's got the tricky thing to navigate where let's pretend he goes Stealer of Souls Nightshade this turn. Well, unless he heals, he can't play another card, right? Another blood card. So he's stuck, right? He's just stuck. It's very, very difficult.
He's still a full 8 away, from the quest as well. So he needs to take, 8 full damage to get Tamsin in play. And then at that point, he's only going to have 2 health to play with. You can tap with Tamsin in play, even if the tap would have killed you, but you can't play cards, as Raven had alluded to earlier.
Okay, that's a big deal.
That is a huge deal. School Spirits again. It's a whole extra turn now.
Yeah, no card drawn now because free admission won't draw fragments, for example, is the point I'm aiming at.
Right.
So he has just got to wait. 11 health. Gaby, I'm not sure what that... Oh, no, that's the Ignite he just discovered, right? So that's just 2?
That's 2, yep.
Yes, okay.
Correct.
He's going to chuck it in, then I imagine this is going to be a little sip of spring water to try and find some more Ignites from the deck.
It could just be quest as well. Like, he could just go Fire, Frost, Arcane. He does need all 3 this turn. But yeah, I imagine he can start with Spring Water and still do that after the fact.
So that's a bit of a shuffle with the Fire Sale, with the tradable.
Another Ignite! He's just, I mean, this is it. He's just limiting the health pool as much as he can, right? Just trying to make this as difficult as humanly possible. Because he does know there's still 5 more damage that needs to be taken before Tamsin can even come down here.
Yeah, he could even just look at doing this Ignite again this turn, just to push as much as possible, right?
Yeah,
which one's this? 4? Perfect.
4.
Yeah. Well, okay, maybe not perfect, but pretty good.
7 would have been perfect.
7 would have been pretty good, yeah. 100 would have been quite cool.
And that's fine. I mean, that's what that Ignite did, right? It played around this exact eventuality, 1 Soul Fragment being drawn, because now RDU finds himself at 5, but he needs to take 5 damage. Oh, no! No! Are you kidding me? There was 3 in the deck. He just drew 2 back to back, just like that, and then into the backfire. But the backfire is currently unplayable, right? He has 3 health.
Yeah, it won't let him play it.
A little agony goes a long way.
Why did he Dark Glare himself down to 1 HP?
I don't know.
Okay.
Also, these blood drops are confusing me. Backfire is just mana, isn't it? Sorry. I think the blood drop was over it, and I was like, yeah, you can't play it because it will kill him. And it's not. You can't play it because it will just kill him from the card. And there's the laugh from Gaby. Yeah, I think that was not the best there to put yourself down to 1. I'm not sure what that was going for, but Gaby takes the victory. And honestly, Subtle, regardless of final outcome, are you okay?
I'll live. Continue.
Regardless of the outcome in the end, like, what a series. I think that was pretty incredible and lived up to expectations I think we had at the start of the day.
I don't think he knew. I think he thought he could play the cards. Like that, just based on what happened and the look on his face and kind of visible confusion, it seemed like. Like, that's my theory. RDU, please do correct me if I'm wrong, but yeah, it was a very interesting endgame state, I would say, and like, shout outs to Gaby, because I think Gaby did the right thing, right, which was to just pressure the health total at all times. There was a point there where even though like I spent 3 turns saying, yes, Gaby, great, pressure the health total, there was a turn where you heard me get baited by completing the quest, right, where I was like, well, maybe you just do one of each. Just do one of each and just like complete the quest. And Gaby's just like, no, just like, screw you. I'm just going to keep throwing spells at the face, limit the health as much as possible. And even against the disaster scenario where RDU drew like above average number of soul fragments from the remainder of his deck there by a lot, he still just did not have the health pool to be able to execute what he needed to do to end the game. So very, very nicely done from Gaby overall.
Yeah, this is where my one-dimensional sort of single-minded go face approach comes in clutch, when I'm like, no, just deal more damage to him. He can't do stuff. But yeah, a huge congratulations there to Gaby taking the victory in a very strange ending to, I think, a fantastic series to just watch. Both players very entertaining and very good throughout that series. So great matchup over there. And that means Gaby is going to move on to that semi-final. So looking at this already, Sotel, we have 2 of the, I'm going to say 3 new GMs, because I'm not going to include Bunny Hopper, however, though it's technically true. But 2 of the 3 new GMs making it to the final day of week 1 of Grandmasters. That is very exciting stuff.
It really is, yeah. I mean, it shows that the new blood is strong in Europe, right? And there's always that feeling of, you know, when you are on top of the game, you want to lay the groundwork for that dynasty, right? That you want to be able to say the next generation is coming along, whether it's a sports team and you've got your youth team coming through underneath showing you good prospects. In this case, it's all well and good to be saying, you know, Europe GM is top of the game, but we could have said that about America's 5 or